Welcome to this digital devotional. As always, I'm overjoyed that you would join me as we, in this short time together, we study God's Word. I wonder if you have ever stumbled across maybe an old photo album, perhaps a song came on that instantly takes you back to another season of your life. Memories possess power. They can stir joy, and yes, sometimes they can stir pain, especially when they remind us of what we've lost. In Psalm 42, verse 4, the psalmist writes this: "These things I remember as I pour out my soul, how I used to go with the multitude, leading the procession to the house of God with shouts of joy and thanksgiving among the festive throng." Psalm 42 as a whole is a prayer of someone who's caught between longing and sorrow. Here the psalmist remembers better days, when worship was full of joy and God's people gathered in celebration, even when his own heart was alive with thanksgiving. But now, he feels far from that joy. Verse 4 shows us something profound. Remembering can be both painful and hopeful. Painful because it reminds us of what we feel like we've lost, but hopeful because it anchors us in the reality that God has met us before, so he can, therefore, meet us again. The psalmist doesn't just recall an event, he pours out his soul before God. Memory moves his praying. And in that we see the beginnings of faith. Even in sorrow, he remembers the God who was present in past worship and trusts that same God who has not changed. So what about you? Maybe you can look back on times when your faith was vibrant and when worship lifted your heart, when God's presence seemed so close. If you feel spiritually dry today, don't despise those memories. Instead, let them remind you that God is faithful. Our memories of past joy in the Lord are not just nostalgia. They are testimonies of his goodness. They invite us to, hope again, even when our present moment feels heavy. So when you feel far from God, remember, God has not changed. God who gave you joy before is the same God who promises his own presence even now. Your memories of past worship are not wasted. They can fuel your prayers and your hope for what God can yet do again today. Friends, I'll see you next time.